unenviable talk. So let me try to do justice to it. What do you mean by normal MRI? Is it when there is no relatable pathology described that suits you as a surgeon, with innocuous findings that we don't care about, with unrelated findings that we are not even worth going to look at it? And is it multi-level when we were looking for a problem which should have been at a single level? So all this in our mind when we see says, normal MRI. No, not really so. We all know MRI has a big clinico-radiological disconnect. Even in asymptomatic patients, very early, even before the highly sensitive MRIs came, 25 to 30% have disc-related findings, but they don't have any symptomatic findings. With normal discs on MRI, patients can have abnormal discography findings. And we do not have to say anything about multi-level discs because they compound the problem to the power of 2 or 3. Is it true? When non-surgical or non-interventional findings are noted by surgeons or therapists or other people on MRI, what goes on inside you? Do you say it is a normal MRI? We most often do. But that is not the problem. The patient has had this MRI because there is something which is troubling them. HAZ is one thing, for example. Many of us see HAZs on MRIs. How much importance do we give to that as a pain generator? They exist circumferentially around, but we are focused only on the posterior ones because they are posterior radial tears. They represent chronicity, they represent reparative granulation tissue, and they are inflammatory edema. Wherever there is inflammatory edema, you find neoneurogenesis and neovascularity. They do not necessarily always correlate with pain, but when you do a discography, most often they have a positive correlation with discography. What does this tell us? Not all HIZs are painful, but if you do discography on those patients who have HIZ and you clinically suspect it, most of them have positive discography. Chronic granulation tissue, we were discussing about neoneurogenesis. This is seen only by transforaminal endoscopy as different distinct layers there which tell you the chronicity of the problem. Now the other thing which I noticed is MR imaging protocol for most of us in the periphery, I don't know about the big cities and people who have their own MRIs, they give you only 5 millimeter cuts. Unless you speak to the radiologist yourself very specifically, they do not give you 2 millimeter cuts. There are a lot of things which can be missed with 5 millimeter cuts. Please insist on 2 millimeter cuts, especially in problematic or so-called normal looking MRIs. Do not hesitate to repeat it. The other thing is we all know this lumbar disc pressure charts. When our spine is loaded, our pressure is increasing, especially when sitting. And now that most of us are into sitting jobs and most of the people with sitting jobs come to us with back pain, we also have to come and take into effect the stress MRI or the upright MRI, which in a normal MRI might be proved or might be labeled as a normal MRI without findings. So this is another investigation which we must be really thinking about. So a normal MRI is not necessarily normal unless sometimes you may need to show it on a stress MRI that it is positive. Chemical radiculitis. How do you image chemical radiculitis? It is not new. It was proposed in 1977. It was proposed even at that time that to take out this inflammation of chemical radiculitis, you give steroids. It works. A lot of us give steroids. It works, but not necessarily in all cases. In long term, because of chemical sensitization, they can cause deficits. How do you diagnose this? How do you confirm this? And a patient with chemical radiculitis, we often say normal MRI. Discography is the much maligned investigation. It started early as a worst thing, then it went into disrepute, then it was silent. Now there are so many studies coming up and the value of it is improving. There is a turnaround which has been happening. What is discography? Let us understand this. It is a provoking test for pain. It tests the physiology of the disc, whereas your MRI is an anatomical picture. It tests the integrity of the annulus fibrosus. The MRI cannot do that. And it sometimes portrays intradiscal anatomy pathology for our classification. It also helps us in identifying the pain generator and probably measure the disc nociception. It's useful now as of today. It's only in a few areas. This is the only investigation that can detail and confirm you the high intensity zone, whether it is going to be symptomatic to your patient. Not all high intensity zones are symptomatic. Internal disruption and how much of a axial pain or back pain this is going to cause. End plate lesions plus minus discogenic back pain and a toxic leaking annular ulcer. This is one of the most important things. NAS and SAS, even in as late as 2019, have said that judicial use of this procedure is indicated. Earlier they said a big no, now they have come to a judicial use. I will tell you only one example fast about a ENT surgeon. He had a right L5 disc bulge on MRI, but his problems were all on the left side, radicular pain. He had multiple comorbid conditions. Everything is on the left side, symptomatic, nothing on the right side. His history starts in 2005. MRI, nothing. No reported, and the pictures are also same. He has been going around, he's slowly getting bad, he has difficulty in working like earlier being an ENT surgeon, but managed. April 12, same picture, slight small bulge on the right side, nothing on the left side. Left side the patient is still having pain. He is still going worse. He's not responding to physio, IFT, all this stuff, any medications. What to do next? Repeat the MRI, 2013. Go to another center, repeat the MRI. Same story repeats itself over and over and over again. He was put through reassurance, everything. He is still worsening. Now he has come to such a stage that he cannot sit for even eating completely, because the time he starts sitting, his pain starts increasing on the left side. He cannot travel in a car. He stopped operating. Being an ENT surgeon, they have to sit and operate. He became depressed also. Now what to do? How can you leave him alone? Psychiatric consultation was done many times, and they did not find any organic or other reasons to do that. What do we do? Again repeat an MRI. So 10 years he has had 11 MRIs from different places, everything reported as normal on the left side. Right side. The patient is having symptoms on the left side. So I had the opportunity to have a go at him. So I explained to him that MRI does not always correlate. So there are other invasive provocative methods which might be helpful to you. So I somehow convinced him for a CT discography to confirm and to prove. The second we put in a needle and put a dye, you find a nice posterior leak there. There was also epidural leak to the left side. There was no leak on the right side. So it somehow confirms our chemical radiculitis problem. Then we did a CT histogram. We found that the leak is there on the left side, and we were able to show that as the dye is leaking, your chemicals are also leaking from inside the disc, and this is chronic thoracic problems. So we managed to do it. Now there is one more thing which has been added to discography nowadays, which is called functional analgesic discography. As soon as you give a dye, a little later you give a local ortho on it, and if the same dye along the same path, if your local goes and the patient has good pain relief, then it is something like a double confirmation. So this is also being worked nowadays. What do you do next to relieve the pain and improve the ADL? We have a lot of plethora of surgeries. We have endoannular procedures like disc effects. We have annular repair techniques. We have hydrogels, obstructing scaffolds which obstruct the leak of things, hydrophilic expanders. Ozone is something which some people say about. I don't know about it. I have not been able to, I've been convinced to do it. For me, the standalone and the workhorse is transforaminal endoscopic discectomies. What is the aim of doing this in such patients? Remove the intervening material in the annulus layers or the fibers, which act like a doorstop. As long as you do not remove the doorstop, you cannot close the door. As long as you do not close the door, the annular fibers will not come closer and start healing. So that is where transforaminal endoscopy comes. We promote the annular healing. You can also try a Dervan plug. You remove the neoneurogenesis and neovascular areas by RF. That gives the patient symptomatic relief. Lucky for me, he came 3 months ago for some other unrelated problem. I convinced him to do an MRI. You see how the annulus has healed. Same gentleman, he is now 77 years. He is now back to sort of a semi-retired practice, half a day he practices, he is happy. So annulus can still heal. So that is a post-op MRI a few years later after we did this thing. So we need to always consider that a symptomatic patient with a normal looking MRI is not really a normal looking MRI unless we do other things to confirm our diagnosis, and we open our eyes to newer things which are still there to be found out and diagnosed and treated. Thank you.